Think you're safe just by reading the label? Think again. In this video, you will learn how to spot hidden food allergens retailers do not want you to notice, and how to protect yourself every time you shop. Standing in the grocery aisle, you might spot milk or egg on a label and feel confident, but the real risk often hides behind scientific terms and industry jargon. The first red flag is casein, sodium caseinate, and calcium caseinate. All three signal milk protein and show up in everything from cheese powders to so-called dairy-free snacks. Whey and its cousins, whey protein concentrate and whey protein isolate, are milk proteins too, tucked into protein bars and bakery mixes. Lactose, milk solids, and anhydrous milk fat are other milk-derived ingredients that rarely look like dairy at a glance. Egg doesn't always say egg. Watch for albumin, egg white protein, or lysozyme, which are common in meringues, processed cheese, and even some vegan pastries. Soy can slip in as soy lecithin, soy flour, hydrolyzed soy protein, or vegetable oil made from soy. You will find these in chocolate, gluten-free breads, and salad dressings. Wheat and gluten go undercover as hydrolyzed wheat protein, vital wheat gluten, wheat starch, or maltodextrin. These ingredients appear in sauces, soups, and snacks labeled low-fat. Peanuts may show up as arachis oil, ground nut oil, or peanut flour, especially in granola or snack bars. Tree nuts are sometimes disguised as nut extract, nut oil, or even mandelic acid in foods and cosmetics. Even natural flavor or flavoring can hide milk, soy, or nut derivatives, especially in snack foods and beverages. Next time you scan a package, pause on these terms. Each one is a potential allergen in disguise, and recognizing them is your first defense against hidden risks. Parentheses. In ingredient lists are one of the most common hiding places for allergens, and one of the easiest to miss. Nearly 8 out of 10 shoppers look right past the fine print inside those curved brackets, focusing only on the main words. Yet that is where you will often find the source of a natural flavor, a protein blend, or an emulsifier, any of which can be milk, egg, soy, or nut in disguise. Heat mapping studies show that most eyes land on the start of the ingredient line and drop off before the parentheses even begin. That is not an accident. Packaging is designed to keep your attention on the big, bold claims, not the quiet disclosures. The contained statement is another danger zone. You would expect it to stand out, but when it is tucked inside a pale gray box or printed in a thin font, almost half of shoppers skip it entirely. The difference between a bold, high-contrast warning and a faint, low-contrast one is the difference between catching a hidden allergen and missing it. Some brands go a step further, hiding allergen info on a resealable flap or inside the lid, places only 19% of shoppers ever check before buying. Promotional stickers and price tags can cover up the contains box, drawing your eye away from critical information. In fact, 71% of people admit they miss allergen warnings when a sticker is present. Even online, product images may crop out the back panel where the real details live. Shelf tags and gluten-free badges can distract you from the fine print on the actual package. To protect yourself, treat every package like a puzzle. Scan the parentheses, hunt for the contains box, peel back flaps, check under stickers, and never trust a shelf tag alone. Training your eyes to these overlooked zones is your best defense against hidden food allergens. Regulations may look reassuring on paper, but the reality inside the grocery aisle is far less certain. In the United States, the Food Allergen Labeling and Consumer Protection Act, FALCPA, requires the top 9 allergens to be named in plain language. The European Union's Regulation 1169/2011 goes a step further, insisting on bold or underlined allergen names in the ingredient list. Still, these laws only cover what is required, not what is possible. Manufacturers can use umbrella terms, voluntary warnings, or even loopholes that leave you exposed. For example, precautionary allergen labeling, PAL, statements like, may contain traces of nuts or produced in a facility that uses soy are not mandatory. Some brands include them, others do not, and there is no legal requirement to be consistent. Even a vegan or gluten-free badge on the front does not guarantee a product is free from milk, egg, or other hidden allergens. Let's put your shopping habits to the test. When you reach for a product, do you rely on front-of-pack claims and skip the ingredient list? Do you stop reading after spotting a safe-sounding word like oats or rice? Have you ever trusted a contains statement without checking for allergens buried in parentheses? Maybe you assume natural flavor or lecithin is harmless, or you trust that a vegan label means zero risk. These are the 5 most common mistakes: trusting bold claims, skipping the fine print, ignoring parentheses, assuming umbrella terms are safe, and letting PAL statements lull you into a false sense of security. A policy expert puts it plainly: the law is a floor, not a ceiling. If you want to stay safe, you have to read beyond the rules. That means treating every label as unfinished business. Legal coverage is partial. Your habits fill in the gaps or leave you exposed. The next step is learning how to break down a label, ingredient by ingredient, and spot the tricks that slip past most shoppers. Christine Robinson's story begins with a bottle of sports drink and ends in the back of an ambulance. She has a severe corn allergy, so she checks every label. But that day, natural flavor slipped past her radar. Within minutes of taking a sip, her throat tightened and her skin broke out in hives. At the hospital, doctors traced her reaction to less than 0.5 milligram of hydrolyzed corn protein. That's a dose smaller than a grain of salt, yet it was enough to trigger full-blown anaphylaxis. Christine's case is far from rare. For peanut allergies, the vital meta-analysis sets the ED01, the dose expected to provoke a reaction in 1% of sensitive people at just 0.2 milligrams. Board-certified allergists warn that even a trace, delivered by cross-contact or hidden in a blend, can be dangerous for the most sensitive. Dr. Simone Williams, a pediatric allergist, puts it simply: a single crumb or a pinch of seasoning can contain enough protein to cause a life-threatening reaction. These numbers aren't just statistics, they are the reason why a tiny amount of milk powder in a dairy-free snack or a smudge of peanut butter on a shared knife can send someone to the emergency room. Even milligram levels, far below what most people imagine, can have huge consequences. That's why allergists urge you to treat every label as a potential risk and to never ignore even the smallest print. The science is clear. For millions of people, it's not about being cautious, it's about survival. Before you trust a package, remember Christine's story and know that the next overlooked word could be the difference between safety and a 911 call. 4 everyday products, each one trusted by shoppers, have landed on recall lists for hiding allergens right on the shelf. Start with protein powder. In March 2024, PureFit Whey Isolate was pulled after independent lab tests found undeclared soy, even though the label only mentioned whey isolate. Snack bars are not immune. Nature's Crunch granola bar, recalled in June 2023, concealed peanut in a so-called nut butter blend. Barcodes and lot numbers matched up with official FDA notices, confirming the risk. Sauces can be just as tricky. Spice Wave barbecue sauce, recalled in October 2024, contained milk inside a cream-based flavor, nowhere to be found in the bold print. Even vegan baked goods are not safe. Sunny Vegan Cupcake Mix, off shelves in February 2025, was found to contain egg-derived protein. Each of these products passed as safe until testing or allergic reactions proved otherwise. If you are counting on the label alone, you are not seeing the whole story. Here is the single trick that outsmarts even the most careful label readers: umbrella terms like natural flavors, spices, and flavoring. These words are not just vague, they are legal catch-all terms that can hide a cocktail of ingredients, including milk, soy, nuts, wheat, or egg. The law allows manufacturers to group multiple sources under one label, so you might see natural flavor on a snack and never realize it contains a milk-derived protein or a trace of peanut. Flavor chemists confirm that the extraction process does not always remove all proteins. In fact, Professor Mark Smith, a leading food scientist, explains, "When a flavor house extracts an essence, minute protein fragments can hitch a ride. They are not listed on the label, but they are still there. That means even a product with a clean-looking ingredient list can trigger a reaction if you are sensitive to what is hiding in those umbrella terms. The risk is not theoretical. These hidden proteins survive processing and make their way into foods you would never suspect. If you have ever had a reaction to a product that seemed safe, this is likely the reason. The label is not lying, but it is not telling the whole truth either. Hidden allergens aren't rare. They're right on the shelf, waiting to be missed. With over 32 million Americans at risk, every ingredient matters. Today, reading labels isn't enough. It's a survival skill. Stay sharp. For you and those you love, vigilance is the difference between safe shopping and a trip to the emergency room.